Need to talk a bit about Man City ahead of the Super Cup tonight, but obviously Gundogan, the captain, has gone. Morris has gone as well, and I don't think many people thought that's going to affect them too much. However, Kevin De Bruyne being out for 4 months, possibly, maybe even longer, with a really bad hamstring issue, that has possibly caused people to rethink. Now, we'll talk about the impact that might have on the Premier League very shortly, but I wonder what Manchester City can do in the meantime. They can't obviously just leave it. I mean, they can't just say, we'll cope without Kevin De Bruyne. Well, or can they? Maybe some people feel that they can. They've been linked with Lucas Paquetá of West Ham United. West Ham, I would say, don't want to lose him. I think they'd lose a lot of their fans' support if they sold him at this stage of the window with the season just started. Jeremy Doku has been linked as well, but so far nothing's happened for Manchester City. There's still a bit of the window to go, but they can't cope without trying to replace Kevin De Bruyne by bringing in somebody from the outside, can they?
Well, first of all, you can't replace Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, Pep's even said that, hasn't he? He is irreplaceable for what he offers. I do think they've got a good enough squad to kind of deal with, even though they're losing their best play, and still be very, very good. Can you ask someone to come in almost like that and hit the ground running and try to feel the kind of form that De Bruyne is capable of? No. We know that when players come in, sometimes they take a season to get used to Pep's way of playing as well. But look, I thought at the start of the season, with the likes of Gundogan going, that I think a big season for Phil Foden. And it could be an even bigger season for him now, or certainly a bigger responsibility to step in and be one of the main men rather than just on the periphery every so often. But you look at the players they've lost with Mahrez as well, who, okay, you can say he was a squad player, but a very good squad player.
Always scored double figures regularly, yeah.
Exactly. And Gundogan as well in that central midfield. So it's a massive blow. And I said at the start of the season in the Premier League All Access podcast that I don't see how City can be as good as last season to do the treble. I'm not saying anyone's going to do a Dwight York and go to see Pep and say, can I have a year off with pay and I'll come back the following year after, United. He did it with United in 99. But still, mentally, to try and keep that up is a very difficult thing to do. And I think Pep realises that. And he's the best manager in the way that Fergie was the best manager back then to kind of say, no, I'm going to put a rocket up your backside to make sure you're there. Having said that, I think with De Bruyne being injured for 4 months, City have just gone a little bit further into the pack. And they're still the best, but they've just dropped off a little bit more.
What it does is it gives all those who were chasing a little bit more encouragement. I think that they can see in the distance a title there to be won. They might even realise, yes, City they've got the history, they know how to get it done, and they've still got the players. But they might just think, actually, there's another weak link. Can we take advantage of that? And I go, I'm with you on the Phil Foden thing. I go one step further. Kevin De Bruyne is 32. And in the Champions League final, City was second best, I thought. And De Bruyne went off in that. And as soon as he goes off, I sensed a change in Erling Haaland, because his man, the man who gave him all those goals, if you like, had gone off. And it was almost like the shoulders slumped. Not talking physically, not visibly, but the shoulders slumped, and he thought, I've lost my mate. What can we do now? I'm going to be right up against it. This is going to be a slog, and it was for him. They won the final. You can't take it away. A brilliant finish from Rodri. So he's lost his mate. I'm thinking at 32, you're out for 4 months with a hamstring. He's had issues before injuries.
Yep.
I don't want to say this because he's a wonderful player to watch, and I think the Premier League this season will be poorer for not having him in it. People have talked about the Premier League being poorer for Kane going. Kevin De Bruyne out for 4 months. That's a big miss for the Premier League. I'm saddened by that. But I think it's the end of an era, and it's time for Pep to establish a new era, and that is the Phil Foden era. He wants to be that number 10 type player, that creative player who can thread those passes, who's so good on the ball. And we've seen him on the ball. Wow, I mean, that turn in the Community Shield to help create the goal for Cole Palmer was nothing short of sensational.
I think I fell over watching it.
I mean, his touch is amazing. His movement is amazing. His speed of his running with the ball. Everything about Phil Foden's game is made to be a top-level fantasy number 10 player who's not just creating goals for an Erling Haaland. I suspect he could score even more with Phil Foden in the team regularly playing behind him. But he could score goals himself and create for others as well. It feels like this is Phil Foden's time.
It's a fantastic opportunity. I mean, the question is, why has Pep not given him that opportunity before? You could sort of say, well, Gundogan there and De Bruyne there, understandable. after the World Cup, he didn't seem to play many games, did he, for City? And I just wonder whether, and I just think Pep is the best. I mean, the best. I've been on here before and said I think we'll look back and call him the greatest ever. It will be very subjective, of course, but I think what he's done has been incredible. And I would just trust in Pep because he sees what's happening on a daily basis. Whether it's a mental thing, whether it's a physical thing, it's definitely not a technical thing. I'm not sure it's a tactical thing either because I think he's growing and he will understand the role. But Pep relies so much on the football intelligence of that central midfield. You don't just have to be technically good, you have to be tactically so astute. And I wonder whether he hasn't up until now believed in him, but now he's almost got to say, now is your time. You know, Gundogan's gone, De Bruyne has gone for 4 months. Now is your time.
Yeah, I absolutely subscribe to that point of view. And I think that Phil Foden's desperate for that opportunity to prove himself. It will help him in terms of his England chances as well. And I think towards the end of last season, I said something on a show along the lines of, if Kevin De Bruyne is not playing, then Gundogan has to play. I think there was a game where he had both of them on the bench, and I said, this isn't great for Manchester City, I think, to be at their very best. And this is when the title was in the balance. He has to play one or the other. You can't leave both out of the team. Well, one's gone and one's injured. So he hasn't got either to choose from. And he's got to be creative with that. But he's got that player right in his hands. So just give him that opportunity. I don't think they need to sign anybody. But we shall see.